I love how my camera's giving me like a countdown to like prep me recording. Like, honey, it's not, I appreciate what you're trying to do. It's not going to get any better than this. It's me. It's your favorite 27-week pregnant with baby number 4 therapist. I'm imperfect. Look at my boob. So people now know there's no guessing it anymore. And what a blessing. What a blessing, truly. Pregnancy is such a blessing and it's hard. So there. Anyway, I just got out of doing some groups and we were talking about core beliefs. And I love core beliefs. And I struggle with this. I've been working on this a long time, but this inadequacy issue. And I'm a pretty confident person, generally speaking. I mean, I F up and I'm definitely obviously not perfect, but generally I'm pretty happy with who I am. But there's this like kind of constant inadequacy issue that it's part of my inner dialogue. And so in group today, we were kind of discussing core beliefs, where they came from naturally. This is not to place blame on anybody. I mean, you can if you want to. It's really just about establishing the source of this information for the point of determining whether or not it's an accurate belief or credible source, or just kind of making sense of where you got these things. And so one of the questions was like the source. I'm not going to say parents, okay? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we can say caregivers. And again, this isn't to place blame, divide, promote hate or anger or anything. It's literally just about clarifying some things. It helps you determine whether or not you want to hold on to these beliefs or not. And so one of the examples I gave was I could probably, if I were to tell people close to me when I was a young child that I hung the moon, I could see a response being like, "Ugh, I could tell you must not have been wearing your glasses." I say this with love and appreciation and gratitude for all the things that I had. And then also as an adult, it's with an understanding of, yes, that's a funny response. It's a funny response. Okay. I get it. Ha ha ha. I have a sense of humor. And that kind of response to an achievement, it sends a message. Your words send a message. And you don't have to mean for malice. You don't have to have the intention of malice or hurt or anything. Likely, your intention is just a joke. And humor is a good thing for the most part. But the message that sends is it minimizes the accomplishment. It ridicules, mocks, makes light of something that somebody may be proud of. And, it sends a message to an adult recipient. It definitely sends a message and starts laying the framework for inner dialogue for a child. And so that would be one easy example of a source where I perhaps could have learned this kind of consistent struggle I have in my head of like minimizing my own accomplishments, minimizing my hardships. There are no impossible problems. There are weak people. I'm still kind of, that's all I'll say there. It's like, so you have these core beliefs and they can totally serve you in a way. They can totally help you in some ways. For example, if I'm constantly minimizing my achievements, well, then what do you think I'm doing? Constantly striving for more. I'm always pushing myself to achieve more. So that's a good thing on one hand. On the other hand, it kind of negates and robs me of some self-satisfaction in the meantime, of some self-appreciation, some recognition that I do hard things all the time. And so anyway, it was a really lighthearted group, but I think it's a really interesting topic, and it can be applied to everybody. I mean, if you're past 1 day old and you've started learning things, I always think it's really interesting to kind of take a look at where you learned these core beliefs and then kind of like regularly reassess, challenge, check in, see what you want to keep and see what you want to let go of. And so anyway, that's my little talk on that today. And another thing that I thought was really interesting that came up is for drinking. For me, growing up for me, I'll compare it to like a smoking section and a non-smoking section. I never really saw a non-smoking, if we're talking about alcohol here, I was never really exposed to a non-drinking section. And that's not just that's like, I mean, in my social circle, my friends, my family, there was primarily drinkers. And so I never really was exposed to seeing an alternative way of living. So alcohol was very much part of my life, my identity, very much a part of every single no, that was my fault later. Very much a part of many, many, many activities, celebratory, grief, sunny days, rainy days, Mondays, Sundays, Fridays, game days, growing up in a college town, etc. So anyway, when you decide to give it up or stop drinking, it is so, and I've said this before, I've done it before pregnant, I've done it before not pregnant. Typically, my stints of sobriety lasted a few months at a time, probably maximum. And I will stand by. Some people say being pregnant and sober doesn't count. It most certainly counts because in my pregnancies 2 and 3, every single day for me to stay sober was sometimes a struggle. And most definitely, it was always a choice. It's always a choice for everybody. But it was more so a struggle than I ever in my wildest dreams would have anticipated. And so I'm really proud of myself. And I do not undermine or negate or minimize that accomplishment because I could have done whatever I wanted to. And I made the choices I made, which I'm pretty proud of. So all of this to say, this is how alcohol is so sneaky, and it kind of came back into my life when I wasn't pregnant. I'd been not drinking. I'd been I wouldn't call it sober. I wasn't attending meetings or anything. I was listening to my that podcast I've talked about, Sober Mom Life, which was my first introduction into the concept of the non-smoking, non-drinking lifestyle. And really very organically piqued my interest into trying it. And so I think that was probably the first time I was ever not pregnant and just kind of out of my own curiosity trying sobriety. I'm sure there was an event probably immediately preceding it, but I can't remember that now. There's been so many. And so anyway, I'd been sober for a few months, which is pretty incredible for a daily heavy drinker who's not on probation at the time and has really no accountability or no reason consequentially. I mean, nothing really holding me to it. So I'd been sober for a few months, and then it was my birthday. And I remember, I was like totally fine with not drinking. But this is the conversation I had in my head. I was totally fine not drinking, but it was my birthday. And I was like, well, I'm going to go get tequila. I'm going to have a margarita. But why, Lauren? We don't even want a margarita. Well, because that's what we do. It's our birthday. Okay, I guess we can try it. So we go to the store. I go get the stuff to make margaritas by myself because I'm home alone. And I remember drinking the first one. And I'm thinking, I really don't love the way this tastes. I really don't love how I'm starting to feel right now. Well, just have more because we like more. We always like more. You just need to get over that hump and have more. Okay. So then many margaritas later, very much probably now enjoying or thinking I'm enjoying it. I've opened the door to alcohol again, against my desire to do so. And really, the point being here is I didn't want to drink. I did not have a desire to drink. I didn't have a craving. Nobody offered me one. It was a tradition, ritual, whatever. It was just something that I normally did. And so when that occasion rolled back around, my birthday, and I guess I'd never had a certainly not sober, not pregnant birthday before. Old habits, it's just like, well, this is what we do. And I just thought that was so interesting because I had every opportunity. I mean, the hard part was removed. I didn't have a craving. I didn't have an urge. Nobody put a margarita in my hand that I had to return. I mean, that would be really difficult. I had a lack of plan and a free afternoon. Lack of responsibility. And so I resorted to what I had pretty much always done in the past. And then and then of course it doesn't stop there. It wasn't like what a great birthday. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave that behind me again. Oh no. Once I open the door to alcohol, I just crack it like, who's there? It always finds a seat at my table. Maybe a little slowly at first, but eventually it's kicking the door down and sitting down before everybody else. That's how it works for me. And so again, just to kind of pay homage to her, sometimes you'll find yourself lapsing, relapsing, returning to old behaviors, really only because that's what you're used to doing. And you don't have a plan in place to kind of get you over the hump of the novelty of, living sober. So you've never had a sober birthday before. Knowing what I know now, my next birthday coming around, I'll probably have I'll have a better plan. I'll have a plan. I will have now taken into consideration that the thought will probably cross my mind because of mere habit. And I'll do myself the favor of considering it beforehand, being proactive and having a plan to not do it. Because the absence of a plan to avoid something is really just an invitation for it to come in. So anyway, I just wanted to share that while I had some energy before I go lay horizontal somewhere, hopefully for as much as I can for the rest of the day. Blessings to all.